Jason Sobel works for everybody. SiriusXM. I was listening to you earlier this week previewing the Ryder Cup, and I appreciate you carving out a few minutes today to talk to me about it. And I know you're with BetMGM, so I thought we should get into some Ryder Cup wagers, and then we'll talk about pairings and whatnot and just have a little fun because I cannot get enough of it. I am so geeked. I think Bethpage, while it might not be the greatest match play venue ever, I think the center of Long Island, though this close to New York City, is just going to make this event absolutely pop. Even yesterday, it seemed like it was a great atmosphere for the opening ceremonies that were bumped up a little bit.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for having me on. I've been pumped about this one since September 17th, 2013, when the PGA of America announced that we'd be coming to Bethpage. I grew up about 20 minutes away, staying in my childhood home this week, and these are my people. The New Yorkers are not going to be a quiet bunch this week. I think it's going to be not only the most fun Ryder Cup, but probably the loudest Ryder Cup, maybe the loudest sporting event that we've seen in a very long time. This is going to be so much fun this week.
Yeah, and good. And New York fans don't have to worry about their team winning because nobody in New York wins. We're Mets fans, right? And it's probably we're not even going to make the playoffs, Jason. All right, let's get to first of all at the top, USA right now minus 145, and the lines vary a little bit. I got Europe at plus 170, and a tie is plus 1,000. Home nation really does matter here. What do you like there?
Yeah, I'm playing the trend with a caveat. The trend is that the home team has held serve in 12 of the last 14 editions of the Ryder Cup, 2 exceptions being 2004, when Bernard Langer's squad beat Hal Sutton's team to put Tiger and Phil together, and that never worked right from the beginning. And then 2012 at Medina, where the U.S. team was in control the entire time. They were actually up 10-4 at one point on Saturday and wound up losing on Sunday when the European team beat them in singles. But really, other than that, the home team has not only won, but won fairly handily. The margin, the differential in points over the last 5 Ryder Cups has been 6.6 average, which means the home team is not just winning, but they're winning going away. So I like the U.S. this week, but that caveat that I mentioned is I don't like that minus 145, minus 150 number, which is hanging out there right now. This is a competition where we see ebbs and flows. We see momentum shifts. I do think the U.S. will get off to a good start, but at some point, whether it's Friday morning, whether it's Saturday afternoon, at some point that momentum is going to start going in Europe's favor. That number is going to get longer. I know that sounds weird to say longer, not shorter, when it goes from 150 to minus 110, minus 105. When it gets to that neighborhood, that's when I'll jump on it.
What if you, because you're right, the margins have been glaring. You go back to what happened in Rome, Europe with a big win. You go back to Whistling Straits. It was an absolute massacre in favor of the United States. What about putting a spread like USA minus 3?
Yeah, I like that. I've seen USA minus 1.5. We're right in the middle of football season. We all understand spreads right now. USA minus 1.5 is trading at right around that close to even money number, maybe a little bit shorter than even money. And so I don't mind playing it that way. If you'd like to jump on now, you say, look, I like live betting, but I'm working, I'm doing stuff, I got family things all weekend. Just give me a pick to make so I don't have to sit here and with my finger hovering over the button on my phone the entire weekend. And then yes, I would think that USA minus 3 might be pushing it, but I don't mind that. Minus 1.5 I think sounds really good.
Well, I mean, if what was it, 19-9?
Yeah,
you could go really crazy. Look, both of these teams are very strong, and I know so much has been made of the fact that Europe basically brings back the same team, except we exchanged Højgaards. So it's the same team, and there's 4 rookies for the U.S., but. And while they are rookies, I think they're all pretty accomplished players. Ben Griffin's had a great year. J.J. Spawn not only won the U.S. Open, but came very close to winning the Players as well. Lost major events in playoffs, so he has put himself in contention in the toughest environments. I did see a stat from our friend Justin Ray, who pointed out that teams that have had one or no rookies have not lost since this has been Europe versus the United States. Does that matter at all?
I don't think it matters as much as we tend to believe. I think that we hear that term rookie. We're so used to watching other sports. I just talked about football point spreads. We're used to watching football this time of year. We see, okay, the Giants are going to start Jackson Dart this weekend against the Chargers. Jackson Dart's a rookie. He's never played. Okay, that's going to be tough for him against a good defense. And you look at things in terms of rookie. Ben Griffin, J.J. Spawn. J.J. Spawn won the U.S. Open this year.
Right.
These guys, Russell Henley's been around forever. He's 36 years old. You hear rookie and you say, okay, like in terms of other sports, like you hear quarterbacks saying, everything's moving a little too fast for them and they're trying to slow things down and get their bearings. I don't know that that's necessarily the case in golf. It's still just golf. They're still just going out there and playing the golf course and trying to make birdies. And I don't think it's as big a deal as we tend to make about it because, quite frankly, Adam, and you know this, with an extra day to analyze and overanalyze with this thing starting on Friday, we get into everything when it comes to the Ryder Cup. It's sort of like rookies. You know what my favorite one is, by the way?
What?
The camaraderie issue. Every 2 years, we're like, Europe, they're better friends. They have more camaraderie. Think about it. When we play the Super Bowl, we overanalyze everything going into the Super Bowl. Did anyone ever say the Eagles are better friends than the Chiefs, so I think they're going to win? No. Who cares about camaraderie? Come on.
Jason Sobel is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. SiriusXM, CBS Sports HQ, BetMGM, The Athletic. It's everywhere. At Jason Sobel Golf on Twitter. All right, top scorer. It's easy to say Scottie Scheffler, who's got the shortest odds, I guess, at plus 470, which is frankly pretty good value anyway. So he's probably the most likely to play 5 matches for the U.S. But who are you looking at as top scorer for the U.S.?
So, first of all, you look at this based on how many matches you're going to play. Give me volume. If one guy's playing 3 matches, you think, and another guy's playing 5 matches, well, I'll take the guy playing 5 matches who just gives himself more of a chance to win in this category. And yes, Adam, this is what I call the Occam's razor play, which means that sometimes the simplest explanation is also the most correct explanation. It's Scottie Scheffler. Why are we betting against Scottie Scheffler? And quite frankly, it's a really good number on Scottie Scheffler. You can get him at right around plus 300, 3-1, not to be the overall point scorer, just to be the top point scorer on the U.S. team, to beat 11 other players in his own team room. Just 2 weeks ago, he was plus 225. He was a shorter number to win the Procore Championship against 143 other players, including 9 of his teammates who are here this week. To me, that makes no sense, that comparison. Of course, by the way, he won the Procore Championship. Yeah. I love it. It's my favorite play on the board this week. Scottie Scheffler to have the most points for the U.S. team, and I also like a little sprinkle on most points overall. And then to go 5-0, he's 16-1. And I think there's one other point to be made here, Adam, is that we don't often look at correlative wagering in golf. That's something you do in football, and whether you know it or not, you're doing it, whether you know the terminology.
Right.
Think of the other day. Okay, the Lions are playing at the Ravens. If you like the over for the game total, then you probably aren't betting under props for Lamar Jackson and Jahmyr Gibbs and all the other Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're probably playing over props if you think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Well, we have correlative wagering at the Ryder Cup. If you think the U.S. is going to win and you're betting U.S. overall, you're probably not betting unders on Scottie Scheffler. You're probably not betting the under on Bryce DeChambeau. You probably think that those guys are going to play pretty well. So unless you're into hedging, unless you're like, all right, well, I'm going to take the U.S. here, but I'm going to take Europe there, and you're just going to basically, push your money back and forth, I think you can look at things and try to get a big picture of what's going to take place this week. And, okay, I like U.S., which means I like Scottie Scheffler, which means that I don't like Rory McIlroy as much, and I think you can play it that way.
Is there another American you think might play 5 matches?
I could see it from – okay, so I was just actually putting on Twitter a few minutes ago that we're going to get the foursomes pairings later today. It should be about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Don't expect it to be the 8 best players.
Right.
Because what happens is if you put out the 8 best players, well, in the afternoon for 4 balls, when you go out to guys who are birdie makers, well, either you're leaving guys on the bench or you're putting guys who are more suited for the alternate shot format. That's my subtle way of saying Colin Morikawa and Harris English might play on Friday morning, and we might not see a Cameron Young, who's been playing really, really well, and we're going to save him. That said, I think Scottie plays 5 matches unless it's just an absolute disaster somehow. If he's 0-3, maybe he sits out Saturday afternoon, but I really don't see it. I think that this team will ride on the back of Scottie Scheffler, win or lose. Bryson DeChambeau, I think, does get a foursome start in on Friday morning if he wins, and I think he plays with Justin Thomas. I could be wrong about all of this, but if he wins, he goes back on Saturday morning, and if he doesn't, they just hold him for best ball. And then Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are basically going to be together, and if they lose some momentum, if they lose a few matches, if they're not playing well, they'll sit, and if they continue to play well, I think Keegan Bradley rides the hot hand.
Yeah, I like Bryson to be the top scorer, like a plus 1,000 is a good one. I think Rory and Rahm will both play 5 matches for Europe.
Rory did 2 years ago. Rahm did not. The only player for the European side to play all 5 matches in each of the last 2 Ryder Cups, it's Victor Hovland. Yeah. And I know that there's murmurs out there that Victor Hovland's swing is not right now where he wants it to be. Victor Hovland won a tournament earlier this year hating his golf swing. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing for Team Europe that Victor Hovland isn't hitting it the way he wants to right now. But that's the guy that I like in that market, especially top European point scorer where Rory's around plus 300, Rahm and Fleetwood are plus 600, and Hovland is plus 900. If I can get Hovland at 3 times the price of Rory and 1.5 times the price of the other two, that feels like a pretty good deal to me, considering he's played every match over the last 2 Ryder Cups.
Here's what I don't understand. When has Victor Hovland, the man who loves UFOs, when has he ever been really happy with his golf swing? He's changing it all the time. And I agree with you. I had told a friend of mine that Victor Hovland was a sneaky guy to watch. You said something a second ago that I believe will happen. I believe that Justin Thomas and Bryson DeChambeau will go out first. I was watching Golf Channel last night, and they were talking about the odd number holes being bad ones for DeChambeau to drive on. So that would eliminate him hitting the first tee shot if that's the way Keegan Bradley goes. But I love the pairing of Thomas and DeChambeau, who I think will emotionally be in sync as much as anything.
I was told by somebody on the scene yesterday, and they played in the same group every day so far. It's been DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, which seems like a Paul Azinger old-style kind of mini pod right there that those guys will all be together. But I was told by somebody who was there that Bryson swung out of his shoes on the first tee.
Yes.
Cameron Young had a nice little pause at the top, swung nice and easy, and Cameron Young actually got closer to driving the green than Bryson did, which I think is very, very telling, very interesting. That said, look, I've got it I'm still working on the European teams as we speak right now, but I've got it at Bryson, JT, maybe in the first match, followed by Scottie and Russell Henley, Morikawa and English, and then Schauffele and Cantlay in the anchor match. I mean, the ordering could be completely different on that, but I think you want to go out with kind of the guys that are going to be pumping their fists and getting some momentum going, getting the crowd going. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lead things off tomorrow morning.
Very much Bubba Watson stirring the crowd up. About a decade ago. Jason Sobel is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I agree with you about Scottie and Henley. My only fear about Colin Morikawa in alternate shot, in foursomes, is that he has not been anywhere close to, forget about the top of his game. I'm not sure he's been close to the middle of his game the last 2 or 3 months. Putting has been bad. And I mean, he's going to be hitting a lot of 5-irons into greens at Bethpage. So that's my only fear about him in foursomes is that he's just not playing well, and I'm not sure he's suited for that course.
I don't disagree with you, but I'd rather have him in the foursomes format than throwing him out in four balls. So I know there's some people listening right now that say, well, why is he playing at all? Why does he play for 2 days if he's not playing well? And I get that notion. The last time a captain decided to sit some players for the first 2 days was back in '99, and that kind of backfired on Mark James, the European captain, who threw out was it Van de Velde, Coulthard, and one other on Sunday without having touched the club for a meaningful shot all week. So we start looking at, where can you put a guy like Morikawa? Well, he's more suited to the alternate shot where you're probably not going to make 9 birdies in a match. You're probably going to make 4 or 5 birdies. You might throw in a bogey or 2, but basically hit it in the fairway, give your partner a chance, and I think he can do that. I think a lot has been made about how poorly he's played, especially considering his standard that he's shown over the last handful of years. But I think Colin Morikawa is going to step up. He's heard the cat calls. He's heard all the whispers about where his game is right now, and I think he wants to prove something this week that he's not as bad as everyone seems to think he is.
Well, 99, they did. They sat 3 players, Coulthard, Jarmo Sandelin, and Jean Van de Velde. They didn't play until Sunday, and that definitely was not good because all 3 players lost their singles match. I don't think Keegan Bradley does that. He's certainly not going to do it to one of his captain's picks because if you do that, then you should have played yourself, as opposed to one of your captain's picks. It is going to be a blast. Do you have a predicted final score?
I will give you, and by the way, I will also predict that all 24 players will play on Friday. I don't think anyone gets left on the bench on Friday for either session, so I think they'll all be out there. I will give you U.S. 15.5 to 12.5. Hopefully it's really close. Hopefully it comes down to the end. Again, we haven't had a close one since Medina in 2012. Yep. I mean, these have been blowouts for the home team every single time since then, and we're due a really good one. Look, golf has been in a bad place the last handful of years with the division at the top level, PGA Tour and LIV, and people getting turned off. This year has been a comeback year. Look, the ratings are up. The interest is up. Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, the 2 best players, 2 biggest stars in the game, accounted for 3 of the 4 major championships. And, of course, Rory won the Players as well. It's been a big year for golf, and I think that continues this weekend.
I agree. I think we're going to be coming down the stretch on Sunday night, and I believe 14-14 will still be in play when we get to the end. I think that will be in play when we get to the end. So I think this is going to go right down. I would love to see who the last couple of players are in singles because those are going to be some incredible matches. Jason Sobel, I am jealous of your place in the world right now. Bethpage is one of my favorite experiences ever playing golf. It is the hardest, fairest golf course I have ever set foot on, and I cannot wait to watch it. So thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you having me on. It's going to be fun. And, oh, by the way, if it is 14-14 at the end of it, I don't like our chances in penalty kicks.
That's very good. It probably won't come down to it, but it's in their blood. It's not in ours.
Right.
Thanks, man.